All right, so it says in triangle DEF, the ratio of angle D to angle F is 4 to 5. So I'm going to start highlighting. We have the ratio of angle D to angle F is 4 to 5. The measure of angle E is 1/4 the measure of angle D. And then it wants us to find the measure of angle F. So let's draw a picture because that's always the best way to start. So I'm just going to get a generic triangle in here. Okay, so this is D, E, F. Okay, so the first thing it told me was the ratio of angle D to F was 4 to 5. So what does that mean? Well, if we have a ratio, it means no matter what those angles are, it should reduce to a ratio of 4 to 5. So this could be, D could be 4 degrees and F could be 5 degrees. Or D could be 8 degrees and F could be 10 degrees. Because if I were to divide 8 by 10, this still is the same thing, 4 to 5. So I could come up with multiple solutions here for these angles. So how I'm going to account for all of them is I'm going to use a variable. So this is going to be 4x and 5x. So now whenever I find the ratio between D to F, so D is 4x and F is 5x, notice how every time this is going to reduce to 4 over 5. So that's what it means when it gives us the ratio. So we want to make sure that we're not just using 4 degrees and 5 degrees, but we're accounting for all possible angles that would give me that ratio. So that 4x to 5x is what we will need. Okay, so now that I've got that portion taken care of, it says the measure of angle E is 1/4 the measure of angle D. So angle E is at the top. And if it's 1/4 the measure of angle D, I'm just going to take 1/4 and multiply that by the measure of angle D, which we have here is 4x. So this becomes really just x, because those 4's will cancel out. So now it says, so now we've got all of our angles accounted for here. It says find the measure of angle F as an integer. So how would we do that? Because we've got a bunch of x's here. Well, this is going to require us to use the triangle sum theorem. So we know if I were to add the measure of angle D plus the measure of angle E plus the measure of angle F, I should get 180 degrees. So because I have variables in there, I'm going to create an equation. So if we have 4x plus x plus 5x is equal to 180. So now combining like terms over here, I've got 10x. So I had a 4x, this is really a 1x, and then a 5x. So 10x is equal to 180, and now dividing by 10, I get x is equal to 18. And so now I'm not quite done yet. I'm looking for the measure of angle F. So I need to plug it back in. So this x is going to be plugged back in to angle F. So 5 times 18. And let's see, I believe this should be 90. So clearly, this my image here is not a 90-degree angle, but that's okay because we didn't know at first. It was just a rough sketch. But the sketch, got us to where we needed to be. My answer would be, because it didn't want any decimals or degrees in my answer, you would just put the 90 into Canvas. Okay, so next, the other problems in lesson 5.1, they have to do with the exterior angle theorem, the triangle sum theorem, vertical angles, and linear pairs. So you're going to need all of these things to solve for the problems on the quiz. So let's talk about the exterior angle theorem. I want to explain why it works, because I think that will help you understand it better. So using the triangle sum theorem, we know that this angle here, so I'll call it A plus B plus C should be 180 degrees. Okay, well now let's look at this angle over here. This is my exterior angle. I'm going to call it D. So that exterior angle forms a linear pair with angle C. So I'll highlight that so we can see it a little better. So see how we have a linear pair right here. And because I have a linear pair, I know that angle C, the measure of angle C plus the measure of angle D better equal 180 degrees. All right, well, now I have two different equations that get me to 180 degrees. So looking at the difference here, if I were to substitute these, let's see. I have a plus b plus c equals 180 and c plus d equals 180. So because they both equal 180, I can use the transitive property. I'll change color here. And I can claim that a plus b plus c should equal c plus d because, again, they're both equal to 180. So I'm using the transitive property here. Okay, so now that I've got this purple equation down here, let's see if I can simplify this. Well, on both sides, I have this angle C. And so if I subtract C from both sides, I'm left with A plus B is equal to D. So the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B is equal to the measure of angle D. And notice if D was our exterior angle here, the measure of angle D is equal to the sum of A plus B, which are the remote interior angles. So they're not touching that exterior angle. So that's the exterior angle theorem. If you have a diagram that gives you an exterior angle, you can take advantage of this and use this equation down here. So the sum of the two remote interior angles is equal to the measure of the exterior angle. Okay, so now we have triangle sum theorem just by itself. I know we already talked about it, but again, if the measure of that is A, then B and C, we would know that A plus B plus C is 180 degrees. So that will come, you'll need that for these Canvas quizzes. All right, next I want to talk about vertical angles. So say you have, this is 10 degrees, this is 30 degrees, and then it tells you this is X. And it wants you to find this angle. Well, we know this is also X because I have vertical angles here, so those would be congruent. So no matter what, that's like it's a free angle there. Because I have vertical angles and they have to be congruent, I can go ahead and fill that in as X. So vertical angles are always congruent. Take advantage of that. You will need to. All right, next we have linear pair, which I know we talked about earlier, but that's okay. So a linear pair, if it gives you like this angle over here, well, you also know this one here because together their sum is 180 degrees. So if I were given this angle to be 89 degrees, I would automatically know this one has to be 180 minus 89. And then the same thing if you have it on the other side over here. So whenever you have a linear pair, if you know one angle, you know the other. And so that will be helpful as well for lesson 5.1. So hopefully this clears it up enough that you can